Hello and welcome to Laytechs Weekly, episode 3rd February 2021. Laytechs Weekly is brought to you by Laytechs, your protection from tech ignorance. My name is Sean. This week's news of the week: Signal adds features to feel more like WhatsApp. WhatsApp has been losing a lot of ground of late, and most of them to either Signal or Telegram. And it did help that Elon Musk recently tweeted saying, asking people to move to Signal, and then the flock moved there. So now the people at the small chat platform know that they need to bring in certain functionalities in order to keep up with the incumbent, which is WhatsApp. So it recently added new features like chat wallpaper, animated stickers, and an about profile section. So these are all good, but they're all a bit of a novelty kind of stuff. It's a nice to have, but at the end of the day, people go to Signal for its privacy, and they stay. Well, yeah, animated stickers are important because that's where all the fun is, that's where all the chat is. So the more variety is provided, the more fun the chats are, and therefore people will stay longer. But where the long-term goal game is played is actually in businesses. In order for Signal to Telegram to fully compete with the likes of WhatsApp and be very good at them, they need to focus on business level accounts. If businesses can successfully run their business from the apps safely and securely without needing to go into desktops to do the stuff, without having to give out a lot of their information, all the kind of things, then what happens is businesses will stay with Signal and Telegram. And in this case, Signal. If they stay in Signal, then the people who are engaging with the businesses will probably stay as well. Telegram lets you move to WhatsApp chats from iOS. This is very important. WhatsApp has been the hardest. WhatsApp chats history has been the hardest thing to move around because it is the one thing that prevents people from porting between iOS and Android. In the rest of the world, in the US, people stay in WhatsApp because of iMessage, but nobody else use iMessage in the rest of the world. So WhatsApp is the one that keeps people from porting between platforms. It is the toughest part of leaving a chat app, and it is the greatest barrier. So Telegram plans to remove this barrier by introducing a chat import function. It works with WhatsApp, works with Kakao, and also Line. And of course, I think in the future with others as well. I don't think many else of them besides Telegram and Signal. I think the rest all have a centralized server, so you use whatever device, you get to have all the chats. The import system right now works on a chat by chat basis, so you have to import chat by chat. It is not like a total universal import system. It also works with group chats. Perhaps soon they will introduce a one button for universal imports, which I kind of the thing that we all need, because I think we have hundreds and hundreds of chats and we don't want to be able to do it one by one, which is quite tedious. It is weird that they're introducing this function on iOS before Android, seeing as more WhatsApp users are on Android than iOS. Perhaps it's easier to build, easier to test out, because there are lesser hardware and software variations to worry about. Then once they perfect the system, then they will, I guess not perfect, but when they are kind of there with the system, then they can move on to building one for Android. Facebook plans a lawsuit against Apple. This plan has been going on for months now, and Facebook claims that Apple is forcing apps to follow rules in the App Store that Apple's own apps do not have to follow. It also includes Apple's refusal to allow third-party chat apps to become the default messaging app on iOS. I think Android went through the same thing with this default messaging app, and Google also went through the same thing with being the default search engine. And I guess if in this case, if Facebook files it right, Facebook should be able to win this. While some parties agree that Facebook's control of the App Store is a sign of market monopoly, others claim it's not monopoly if they own the market. So because Apple created the App Store, so therefore it owns it. Apple created the iOS, therefore it owns it. So you can't monopolize something you own, right? But in my opinion, the problem is actually in the mobile OS duopoly that is currently controlled by Apple and Google. And in this duopoly, Google can say that they can control their market and not say that it's a monopoly. Apple can do the same thing, but it is a monopoly because at the end of the day, the consumers are ultimately the losers, because if they do not open up their market for competition, and if they control it so much, at the end of the day, the entire ecosystem will be run by them, and we don't have a choice. When we don't have a choice, that is essentially a monopoly. On the other end, Apple is actually hitting back on Facebook for Facebook's privacy issues and security concerns, and Apple is saying that they are tired of trying to work with entities that are not keeping up with privacy regulations. And yeah, they're kind of both quite at war at this point, but in any case, we'll see how it turns out. Elon plans to bring civilians to space this year. In his charity-focused mission to raise funds for the St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, Elon Musk is working with entrepreneur and pilot Jared Isaacman to bring 3 civilians into orbit. All anyone needs is to donate a minimum of 10 USD and stand a chance to be one of the 3 lucky winners for this trip. The pair plans to raise $100 million on top of the $200 million donated by Isaacman himself to the hospital. If chosen, everyone will be required to receive training on orbital mechanics, operating in microgravity, zero gravity, and other forms of stress testing. The crew will also be spending up to 5 days in a capsule as it orbits Earth once every 90 minutes. Think about this. It is so fast that it's orbiting the entire Earth one round every 90 minutes. It's crazy. So if you're interested, you gotta be very fit. That's what it says. You have to love roller coasters. You have to weigh less than 113 kilograms and under 6 feet 6 inches tall. Then you can put in $10 and stand a chance to get invited. If the flight gets delayed past 2022, Musk also promised a compensation of around 150,000 US dollars alternate price with a fine print added. So you may want to do a little bit of research on it before you jump onto this. But it is interesting because what Musk is doing is it's paving way for space travel. Well, not space travel, but I wouldn't say it's space travel. You're not exactly, how do I call this? Yeah, let's just use space travel. Space travel to be an affordable thing. The same thing that Virgin Galactic is also doing. Apple may be working with Hyundai on electric car. Famous analyst Meng Chi Kuo has dropped hints that Apple may be working with the Korean car maker on an electric car. Kuo also said that the car will be based on Hyundai's eGMP platform for battery-powered electric vehicles. eGMP is actually Hyundai's technology that can theoretically get over 500 kilometers on a full charge, with the battery's capability of reaching 80% capacity under 18 minutes of charge. So the biggest problem with electric vehicles at this point, the biggest hurdle, we don't talk about the externalities, but the immediate hurdles are 2 things, right? How far can one charge get you? And how fast does it take to charge up your car? At the moment, it takes up to 8 hours to charge up the car to full capacity. And batteries can only go up to like maybe 200 to 300 kilometers at most, which becomes a problem. Not so much in Malaysia, but in a lot of parts of the world, traveling between 400-500 kilometers is actually the standard. And if between 400-500 kilometers you have to park your car for 8 hours to get a full charge, it's ludicrous, right? So that was why Tesla came out with an option for a battery pack replacement, where instead of waiting for the battery to be charged, you actually pull up your existing battery pack and replace it with another battery pack so that you're good to go in maybe under 5 minutes. But that is a problem as well because old batteries die off New batteries are more robust. So if that happens, then operational wise, costing wise, Tesla will always be on a losing end because people will keep replacing their batteries with newer ones, and Tesla would not have don't know what to do with all the old batteries, right? So that would be a bit of an issue. This will fix some of its problems, and Hyundai did say that they are not sure if they want to continue with this because they have never built a car for another brand before, much less Apple, and they will both sides are still considering this, and other parties are not out of the question. There is also talk of PSA, which is Peugeot Citroën PSA, doing this for them as well. So, but Kuo did say that the car, Apple's car, will set to arrive by 2025. So we have to look and see. This week's tech of the week, Mi Air Charge technology. Xiaomi just dropped a video of a technology we have been dreaming of, air charging. It is the ability to charge any device literally wirelessly. This is purely wireless in a sense that you don't even need to attach something to you don't need a charging pad at all. Within the radius of a charger device. So you have a device, and as long as it's in the radius and it fits the requirement of the charge or whatever, then you will be able to charge multiple devices up to 5 watt, which isn't much by today's standards. 5 watt is I guess iPhone 4 standards. Now we're looking at 60 plus watts on Android devices and 30 plus watts on iPhones. But if the technology works, right, give me the 5 watts. I'm happy to be walking around and using my phone without any cable and still be able to charge it. It works by sending narrow millimeter waves directly to phones through this thing called beamforming. I don't really understand what it means. I watch a lot of videos and it's still a bit too tacky for me. But according to physics, energy is lost whenever it's being transmitted via conductors and converted into different forms. So whatever Xiaomi said about it using very low energy, it's impossible that it would end up less energy than wired charging. So wired charging will be the most energy conserving method. Wireless charging with a dock is the second most, and wireless charging over the air will tend to, based on physics, right, will consume the most energy because it travels the most and it goes through conductors that are just over the air. Xiaomi also isn't the first company to tout this capability. A company called Energius has been promoting their version of wireless charging since 2027 at CES. Still no actual devices to show for. But if this idea is there, the concept is sound, the product will soon follow. So all we need is more brands to come in, more companies to come in to experiment on this, and then we will build version 1 that is consumer ready. Then from there, this market will explode. I wonder if Apple will lose quite a lot of profit in terms of charging people for cables if this happens. They could probably sell one charging machine instead, right? A very expensive one. That's all for Laytechs Weekly this week. Laytechs Weekly is available on Anchor FM, Google, Overcast, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Pocket Casts, Radio Public, and more. Our full videos are available on YouTube, and I post bits and clips on Instagram and Facebook. This is Laytechs Weekly, episode 3rd February 2021. My name is Sean. Stay safe. See you next week. Au revoir.